Hello everyone. This is Citizen Soldier 9. I usually just go by Citizen S9 if you know me from the Twitch streams. And today I'm going to be showcasing the French Tier 9 battleship, the Alsace. And this ship has to be one of my new favorite ships of the French line, and I think overall one of, if not the strongest battleships at Tier 9 currently. And I'm going to go over several reasons why I will have come to that decision. If you're not interested in learning the build that I run with this ship, go ahead and just skip down to the link in the description. You'll go straight to the replay. It is a monster of a game. And now for all of you guys who are still with me who are going to actually want to learn about this ship, I'm not going to go over any of the history of it because it's just a design ship, so who really, cares. But this ship is probably just one of the most unique ships, just because of the fact that you have a 12-gun battleship at Tier 9, but you also only have 15-inch guns, which really 15-inch guns start to underperform once you get to Tier 9. They kind of struggle a lot on the German battleships down at Tier 8, but Tier 9 is where even the cruisers are going to start to resist your gun power. And so that's where the Alsace just becomes really unique with all the guns it has strapped to the side of its ship that you don't really have much control over. And I'm talking about these secondary guns, these 100mm little Daka cannons, and then you have these big 152mm light cruiser weapons. And so my recommended build on the Alsace is going to scare some people, and I go with a full-blown secondary build. And I don't mean just full-blown secondaries, I mean the 3 million credit module that gives you that 20% reload, the 500,000 credit module that gives you that 20% range, and everything to keep those secondaries as live as long as possible. And so out of the captain build, I actually run a demo expert IFHE build. And the reason I run this is this ship at 8 kilometers will kill a tier 10 destroyer, minus the cab of course, in about 20 seconds. And if that isn't insane enough, this ship, it's just too good. Honestly, it's so much fun to play. I'm so happy Wargaming put it in this way because it has so many strengths going for it, and even though it's got some major glaring weaknesses in the armor scheme, it's just a blast to play, and I highly recommend going up the French line to get this. I'd stop at this ship because the Tier 10, the Republic, the Big Brother, it's going to need some help, not going to lie. It's got some issues, but with these guns, when we look at these 15-inch guns, you see that you're not going to have much benefit from overmatch on your heavy cruisers at Tier 9 and all of your battleships that you're going to run into, except for some of the Tier 7s like the Colorado and the Nagato. But with these guns, what you do have is an exceptionally good turret traverse and a really high shell velocity, which gives you a ton of penetration that you need at longer ranges. So when ships go broadside to the Alsace, you will punch into their armor and you will get citadel hits and massive volleys. What you're not going to do is when they angle, you're going to do nothing to enemy ships. And that's where the secondaries become so critical in this ability to fight. Because if you look at the ship, if you're completely bow in from this point, you have 1, 2, 3 turrets that super fire on the side. You're not going to be able to get 6 on. Don't try. It just doesn't work. But you'll also get this 152 in the fight. And that volume of fire, because it has a 2.3 second reload with this build on these 100mm guns, lights enemy battleships on fire. It burns them down. It demolishes cruisers. Nothing can really stand up to the firepower that comes off the side of the ship. And hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that in this replay that I have for you guys today. And so that is my recommended build on the Alsace. You do give up some concealment, but if you do know how to play around with that on a high tier battleship, you can go ahead and mitigate the weakness of that build. This concealment isn't actually what you should have. You should be running a camo that does give you a nice 4% to that dispersion and the 3% to the detectability range. So you should get it down to 14.6. I recommend running that speed flag because these French battleships are the fastest battleships in the game with speed boost activated, topping off at a very impressive 36.2 knots. Not even the Missouri and the Iowa can reach that. While they will be a little bit faster base speed, that speed boost just really makes up for it. And that's another reason these secondary builds work. Cruisers, minus the French ones, and some very, very small time fast ships like the Donskoy, nothing else is going to run away from you. Even carriers, when they're caught by your secondaries, they're dead. They can't get away unless they kill you. And that's where this speed boost allows you to be such a great pusher when you're on a flank at a perfectly good position. And so let me go ahead and get in that replay and show you guys what I'm talking about. Right, so jumping into my game today, I do have a top tier game on Northern Lights in the Alsace. And this is the changed version that we just got with the recent patch 7.2, I believe, where we have that A-B spawn going on down in the enemy, or the new spawn locations for the new caps. And so with this game, I've spawned up on the north side of D, and I'm essentially going to be leading the charge for my team the entire time, because not many enemy ships are going to spawn down here. There's not going to be much of a point to holding your position in the Alsace, especially with the fantastic speed that this thing can accomplish. So I start out the game a little cautious, and you need to be cautious in these French battleships to start, because you don't know where the enemy team is, and if you're flying forward and you run into too many enemy ships, your armor cannot tank the hits. So play a little cautious at first, let your carrier do the spotting for us, figure out where we need to go, and that's essentially what I'm going to do. So I'm going to see that the enemy team only has this DD, these tier 7 planes I'm not really worried about, this Iowa and the big threat. And then I'm going to realize how much stronger we are on this side, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and charge up this way. And so I'm just going to be taking some pot shots at this brig Fred, who doesn't really understand what angling is. Surprise shore has popped up, and I decided, hey, let's just shoot this tier 7 cruiser, because he has a nice floating citadel. And so I loose the cannons, and then I am rewarded by Wargaming with some nice, just a one little tap on the citadel, and there we go. So I'll take it. There's a citadel that did 13,000 damage and no other hits. The max damage per AP shell on this one is 11,900, so there might be a little bit of a bug with getting a pen damage and then the citadel first, but who am I to judge? So I go ahead and put this big Fred in secondary range, and then I see that the enemy Sims is making a huge mistake, and he's actually going to charge out in front of our whole team. So put the big guns on him, and then turn the secondaries loose. And then this is only half the secondaries that this ship can fire right now, but look at the volume that's coming. I do go ahead and turn more to my right so I can get everything on him, and then you can just see the amount of shells that just get dumpstered into that poor dude. Go ahead and put the secondaries back on the big Fred. Looks like he's running a secondary build as well, but he just doesn't have the same amount of fire chance that Alsace can put out, so nothing can compare to that. Go ahead and get a fire on him. He does get behind the island, but he's got 2 on him, and he's actually flooding out from torps from my friendly Mayhan, so he's actually going to go down. And so I realized at this point, since the shores died, friendly took him out, and I have about 6 friendly ships behind me, that it's time to go ahead and charge this side, because the enemy team is going for our A cap hard. And if those guys get through A and they start making a push on C, they could get entrenched in, and we're not really going to be able to push them out. So I decide best course of action is to just go around this side and keep going as fast as possible. I do see that this Iowa pops up, and he's at an angle where I'm going to get a lot of pen damage on him, but I'm most likely not going to get a whole bunch of citadels on him, but that's not that big of a deal. So I see him creep out. He's in secondary range, which is a good thing for the Alsace, because I am a faster battleship than him. I see him momentarily get really, really great dispersion with those main guns. Yeah, it's just 17k, which isn't bad damage by any means, but, you know, an Iowa or Missouri is going to probably do better with its main guns than the Alsace in this situation. But where the Iowa and the Missouri are going to not be able to stand up is the amount of firepower that the secondaries have. I set 1 fire on this dude, he immediately repaired it, and so what I do is I keep him in secondary range at all costs. See, I can just bow in this dude, and he's not going to be able to do much, and you can just see up there on the middle right of the screen how many secondary hits this ship is just putting out on the target. The enemy hipper popped up on the right there. Not really worried about him because he did just go behind an island, and, well, honestly, it's just a hipper. They don't have that much DPM. I do swing my guns over there because I do actually want to shoot this hipper, because I'm entirely letting the secondaries focus on the Iowa. And what I didn't expect to have happen is that enemy ranger just showed up. And I've just lit up like a little boy on Christmas, because I really want to go put the secondaries on him instead of this Iowa, because they'll pen the Ranger at any angle, and they'll get me a whole bunch of damage that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the secondaries off the Iowa. He's already burning nicely, and I put him on the Ranger. Now, I don't know how much damage I did exactly to this Ranger. I don't have the endgame screenshots anymore, and my team did help me, in quotations there, with that, but I went ahead and put the secondaries on the Ranger. I will zoom in on him, and you'll see me get a 5k volley with just the secondaries, because you can Citadel a Ranger with these 152s. Iowa goes ahead and shows broadside again. Let's just finish him off so I don't have to worry about him. And so I decided at this point, no point in keeping the main guns on that Ranger. I do use Control X a lot, so it's going to look like my guns are pointed at the Ranger and they're going to shoot towards my right, but it's because I Control X when I'm playing the game. And so went ahead and just looking at him. My guns aren't actually pointed at him, but you just see the massive amount of damage these secondaries are doing. Friendly comes in, gets a nice hit on him, but I get the close quarters expert from, 9 kilometers, so that's always fun. And so I see the enemy top tier battleship, but go ahead and take a shot at him. He's full broadside. And you see here, you can see that glitch with the replays where my guns are pointed straight at this dude in game, but it looks like I'm just shooting like a hacker. So maybe that's where all the accusations come from for people. They think that's how you're hacking. So I decide I'm gonna go ahead and just keep pushing up this way. The enemy Alsace dumps some HE into me, which is just who cares really. So I realize it's time to just keep going. I do look behind me and see my entire team as well there, so looks like it's just a potato fight all around, but that's World of Warships, so you kind of just have to roll with it. And so we're going to run into a little bit of a dull moment in the battle now, just probably the slowest part of the whole thing besides maybe the beginning. So just going to wait for this Alsace on the enemy team to keep turning. I see he's making the mistake, but I want him to give me that perfect broadside before I shoot. And then I drop the shots on him, get another amazing dispersion volley on this dude, and it's going to hit for around 15,000 damage, which is, it's not nothing, but it's not the best damage I could have done, but, you're not going to complain about 15k. So I'm going to go ahead and ignore B, actually, because I realize that my team is just stomping the enemy team at this point, and there's no real reason to go for caps when I kind of want to just go for some kills and get as much action in this game as possible. And so I go ahead and dump that speed boost on. That should help me catch these guys even faster. I want to shoot at the Fiji here, but then I realize that Alsace is going to give me a shot again, and that it's best to take out that enemy tier 9. And so that's the one I'm going to go for. Even though he's low and he's burning, I don't want him to suddenly go dark and then come back on 20k health and create some problems for me. And so I went ahead and dumped the shallow on him. He's only got 4k HP. There's no way it's not going to kill him. And then I turn the secondaries on the Hipper, and these IFHE secondaries can pen him. And you see, he started off with 4,000 health, and he's going to survive, but just barely. And me not killing the Hipper there is going to come back to haunt me so hard real quick. So I go ahead, I keep pushing up. I leave this Hipper on the tiniest of sliver. I shoot the Duke of York. Really wish I put one turret on that Hipper now, but I think, I'm so cocky in my secondaries that go ahead and shoot the ship I can overmatch. Get a nice 10k on him. Secondaries barely finish this dude off, and here's my mistake. Look at my speed down there in that bottom left. I'm going faster. I just slowed down. I didn't think that Hipper would get his torps off, and I'm going to eat 4 of them here. Now, this could have been a lot worse, but a little bit of damage saturation hit me on my belt cannon and saved me. Not the end of the world, but could have been, less stupid. So I'm going to go ahead and get about 100,000 damage in the next 2 salvos. I'm not kidding about that. So we're going to go ahead and nuke the Fiji. And I decide right here with 3 enemy ships left that I want as much damage from that Missouri as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and take the ram on him. Because that's a guaranteed 60,000 damage with where his health bar is at. And I'm going to shoot at this battleship I overmatched, the Duke of York. And I'm just barely going to get that reload off in time to shoot. You see me, and then that dispersion is so beautiful. You just see you go in and hit him for 20,000, hit the ram off. So I went from 175k to 280, get the Kraken, the High Cal, the Confederate, all in about just a few short seconds there. So that is actually my second highest ever damage game in World of Warships. Alright guys, and that's going to go ahead and be the end of today's video. Thank you for stopping by. If you enjoyed it, I will be trying to post more replays up on the YouTubes more frequently. I haven't done so lately because we've had those horrendous replay stutters lately with the recent patches that went into World Warships. If you enjoy what you saw, I do stream on Twitch pretty much most days at about 3 p.m. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description. Other than that, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Peace.